everybody, I'm FG. This is Autumn's Journey. Welcome to episode number 5, where we'll finally find out why Aurelie wants to become a knight. So let's do it. Let's go for it. I inhaled deeply as I prepared my meaningful and profound answer. Well, so you see, knights are so cool. They have swords and shiny armor and stuff, and everyone looks up to them. They always do that honorable thing, right wrongs, and stop evil in its tracks. And they help people with their problems. They find off all kinds of monsters, slay dragons, and...
Whoa.
Wait, what? And rescue fair maidens and lads in distress. About that last part where... fall in love with the knights, and the knights sigh and go, I'm sorry, but my heart belongs to the path of justice and righteousness. Oh, Lady Knight, they cry, then take my rose as a symbol of... I get it. See? I was practically bouncing on my heels. I gazed elatedly up at Care, my hands clamped and fists over my chest. That's why I want to be one so bad. Aren't you doing most of that already? Well, besides slaying dragons and leaving a trail of broken hearts? I guess so. But I want the title too. I want it to be official, recognized by the Sun and Moon Council. What about you? Aren't there any dreams you're chasing? You sure seem like the free-spirited type. That's because I am. He stretched his arms up, then sat back on the grass. At first I was going to chide him for taking a break during a patrol, but decided a few minutes of rest was acceptable. I sat next to him. I'm not up for this knowledge keeper business. I hate it, but my master insists. Knowledge keeper? He glared at me in frustration. Really? You've spent all this time with us and you still know nothing about dragonkind. Well, you never tell me stuff, Ilmari. Well, you know Ilmari. Always goes back to Heavenkind talk. Dragons have a long history, and we record everything orally. Everything we know is passed down to a dragon, called a knowledge keeper, who will specialize in something. Could be plants, animals, traditional stories, important events. He sighed in defeat and propped up an elbow, nestling his chin in his palm. It's boring. Tucking my knees up, I hugged them and leaned in to get a good look at his face. He peered back at me impassively. I don't have the concentration or focus to retain all that knowledge. When I was younger, they thought I'd be good at it, and my master picked me. Obviously not, though. I find it easy to stop caring at this point. If I don't care, I don't care. Doesn't seem to work on Master Bedros, though. Wonder what he even sees in me at this point. How do you do it with all those expectations placed on you? Me? I'll lean on my knees and stare off at the horizon. Not sure either. This is the first time I've considered my mom's name a burden more than a help. I guess I just accepted it. I know I won't ever live up to her legacy, and people perceive that. I can't force someone to see me only for me. However, I have support from my family, the people in Barry, and of course, you guys. They love me for who I am, and they're the ones that matter. I gave him a wry smack. So, Care, how do you view me? As Aurelie or a pale imitation of Lady Bayard? Why are you asking me? I don't know enough about your mom's legacy to compare you to. You're doing fine. I think you're a good knight in your own right.
Thanks.
Heh, knight in training, but thanks. We'll never end up slaying a dragon, though. Oh. With how often you annoy me, I could cross that off my knight accomplishments list pretty easily. Please, even in this form, I can take you on. Is that a challenge? He stood up and bared his teeth, widening his stance. Bring it. I sighed, wondering if this was even a good idea, but I also got up. I wiped the grass off my skirt and touched my sword hilt. He eyed it condescendingly. Oh, what's this? Relying on a weapon? I'm unarmed. This is hardly fair. You know I'm not good with hand-to-hand combat. His taunting smirk, though, caused me to toss my scabbard aside impetuously.
Let's do this.
This is a stupid idea, but let's do it. I bent my knees and clenched my fists, wondering how to start the fight. So, do we just counter through, or do you just wait for... Before I could finish my sentence, Care rammed into me, tackling me to the ground. The wind was knocked out of me as he pinned my shoulders. I glowered at him. I win. I wasn't even done talking yet. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath, trying to concentrate.
Whoa.
What are you doing? I opened one eye. Something I should have done before. Feeling my strength increase, I effortlessly pushed him off. He gawked in surprise. I rolled over him so I was now straddling him with his arms held down. He blinked. I smirked victoriously.
We did it!
Too easy. Another tussle and he was looming over me again, his long hair grazing my cheek. Oh my.
Bring it.
If I was in my true form, you would have been crushed under my foot. I wrestled him, slamming him down so I was on top again. Even in your dragon form, if I had my sword, I would have skewered you a dozen times. Please, it merely feel like splinters. Hey, splinters hurt. Have you ever gotten... Oh. He rotated again, and this time he pinned my wrists. Unable to wriggle out of his grip, I sighed and rested my head back on the grass as my little focus spell faded. If Care's body was that of a normal Heavenkind, I would have stood a better chance. You win. Only because I wasn't allowed to use my sword, though. Right, yeah. Whatever makes you sleep soundly at night. His grasp on me loosened, but he didn't budge. Instead, his eyes examined me intensely before lingering over my neck. He inched closer and I panicked, shaking my head frantically. Wait. Don't take a bite out of me. I said you won. I struggled and he hastily let go, rolling off me. That was invading some serious personal space there. What did my mom tell me to do when men get that close to me? Wait, I didn't have my sword on me, so advice would have been useless. Oh god. I rubbed my neck self-consciously as I sat up, while Care angled his body away. After retrieving my scabbard, I noticed Care was pacing impatiently. I agree. We've rested enough. Let's finish this patrol and go home. Care? Oh yeah, sure. He rubbed his forehead as if contemplating something. I resisted commenting since I knew he would insist it was nothing and refused to answer. Instead, I gave him a friendly slap to the shoulder to help him focus on the task at hand.
Right.
Wait. Let's go then. You could tell your master that Heavenkind like long pointless walks afterwards. He mustered a weak smile, but said nothing. We finished the patrol and I reported it to the receptionist. Care remained taciturn the whole time, and barely said a word when we parted. I wonder if it was something I said, or maybe he finds patrols utterly boring? Chapter 7. The Bonds We Share. What should I tell him this time? The three of us were once again at one of the altars while Care mentally counted reports on his fingers. What about when I took you to the blacksmith? Seeing all those different types of weapons and armor was pretty neat. Or maybe how the Heavenkind keep written records? Ilmari cradled the book he was holding, which contained popular children's fairy tales. Ilmari, why do you keep carrying that around? You can't even read yet. I'm learning. How many more visits or trips do you need to make anyway, Care? You're getting close, right? He hastily glanced away. Something like that. Almost there. Just a few more trips. Your master sure is vague. I hope Master Bedros isn't just stringing Care along indefinitely. Care glowed, and we instantly hushed up, but exchanged sly smiles when he turned his back. Wait here, Aura, you as well. Huh? But I was the guest of honor at all of your little reports before, and you were getting better at them too. Although I wish you would stop heavily hinting about how you would like to see a battle tournament in action. I crossed my arms with resolve. Also, the cat says hello, as you can hear. Very loudly. I crossed my arms with resolve. I'm not accepting those postings, and that's final. Care grumbled some more, but left anyway. I waited behind with Ilmari, who perused the book, despite the low lighting in the cave. I unsheathed my sword and began to do some practice swings. My footsteps echoed softly through the tunnels as I readjusted my stance ever so often. The blade sliced through the air and I paused momentarily to look at Ilmari. Hey, do you think Care is hiding something? Possibly? And you know the least bit interested in knowing? He closed his book and sighed contemplatively. I'm sure he has his reasons. He's gruff, but he's a good person deep down, and straightforward. Does it bother you that much? I thumped my chest with a fist.
Right.
Of course it does. A knight is honest and forthright, and I value those virtues. Yes, the virtues. You know, for someone highly interested in Heavenkind culture, you shouldn't ask me a lot of questions about knights. Well, you're very passionate about the subject, and I wouldn't want to bother you too much. I sheathed my sword, my eyes filled with determination. But it wouldn't be a bother at all. I would love to tell you everything there is to know. His ears perked up and he quickly glanced down the tunnel. Ah, he's done. He should be here soon. Sure enough, Care re-emerged, proclaiming that the conversation with his master had ended on a high note. What did you tell him this time? Care smirked. About the time when you and Ilmari... What about me? You actually mentioned me? We both glanced at Ilmari in bafflement. He immediately piped down.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, I didn't think Care would ever bring me up. Why wouldn't I? We've been together long enough, and you're supervising me. Right. As we started to leave, Ilmari halted in his tracks and glanced apprehensively back to where the altar was located.
Well...
Is it permissible if you two go ahead without me? I wanted to examine the statue but I didn't want to interrupt Care. That's fine by me, Care. He gave a careless shrug and Ilmari smiled gratefully.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll see you later. He vanished down the tunnel and Care rubbed his chin in thought. Hey, Aura, do you think Ilmari isn't telling us something? I could feel my smile strain. What do you mean? Ilmari wouldn't hide things from us, right? You know how he is. I guess. I ushered Care towards the entrance and thrust some coins into his hand. I'll stay here. You go ahead and reward yourself with some apple tarts. There's enough for you to buy 5 of them. He jingled the money disappointingly. Just 5? Apparently my cat agrees with Care. That's more than plenty. You shouldn't indulge in sugar-coated pastry so much. Or you'll be the first dragon with a cavity. I gave him a gentle push and he reluctantly stepped forward, briefly glancing over his shoulder before continuing to the entrance. I folded my arms and turned in the direction of the statue, wondering if I should confront Ilmari or overlook his behavior. Curiosity won over, and I tiptoed towards the rear of the cave once again. What's the point of trying to eavesdrop? They have better hearing than I do anyways. As I continued down the tunnel, I could hear Ilmari's faint voice. It sounded contrite. I felt a pang of worry, as I was torn between quickening my pace and remaining furtive. I settled against the cave wall until I could hear Ilmari more clearly. I'm sorry, Master Kea. I'm so sorry. I leaned over, carefully eyeing Ilmari. I half expected him to be kneeling like Kea usually did. But instead he was standing straight with a rigid back. He resembled a child being reprimanded for running off into the forbidden woods after a stern warning not to. He nodded solemnly, arms hanging limply by his side. What? But it wasn't anything. I didn't think it'd be that serious. I'm merely an apprentice. I know it was imprudent of me. Yes. Can I at least stay until Care returns? What? Then this whole time... As I sensed the conversation reaching a conclusion, I decided to slip out. As I crept away, my scabbard smacked against the rock wall. I uttered a curse before I could stop myself. Darn it, I mean... I slapped my forehead with an open palm. Ilmari must have heard that. There was no point in sneaking away now. Aurelie? Are you there? I know you were listening the whole time. I turned and Ilmari approached me. I gave him a sheepish look.
Oh, sorry about that.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. I heard you apologizing to your master. I'm assuming you did something? He shuffled nervously and rubbed his upper arm. Yeah, she wasn't impressed with me. At all. He exhaled deeply. When I said I was sent to watch over Care, I lied about that. So you were never actually ordered to supervise Care? Right. I basically ran away and joined you. Now it makes sense why you were avoiding those altar visits. But why would you need to? Because it's not fair! Ilmari's tempestuous outburst left me gaping. I could hear his voice echo throughout the tunnel. Hands trembling at his side, he clenched a fist so hard that his knuckles went wide. It seemed as if all the frustration and bitterness he had concealed were finally beginning to surface. Why did he get to go? No, he was forced. While I was willing. I studied the Heavenkite language, observed as much as I could, practiced the transformation spell, and yet he's the one who was sent. And Care doesn't care. He's not interested in Heavenkite or building a rapport with them. He quivered visibly. He probably felt ambivalent towards Care for quite some time, and yet had never expressed it. I couldn't bear to see him so upset. Stepping forward, I extended my arms and embraced Ilmari, drawing him close. He shifted in the hug and rested his hands against my back, burying his face into my shoulder. I scrambled for something that could reassure him, but my mind was blank. It's okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry for that. It's not like me to begrudge someone, and I'm tired of feeling this way. When Master Kea mentioned what had happened between Kea and Master Bedros, I was envious, and I decided to see for myself. After Kea casually asked if I was sent, I instantly saw an opportunity, so I said yes. I'm sorry I never told you both. I guess I was worried that if you found out you wouldn't want me around anymore. I playfully ruffled his hair. Oh, please, like we would do that. Kea might. I wouldn't let him. I could feel his shoulders shudder as he chuckled against me. Master Bedros is very open-minded about Heavenkind, but Master Kea is too wary. I begged her multiple times to send me as a representative, but she kept saying I wasn't ready. My heart panged since I could relate to that, constantly being told how one wasn't prepared. I reluctantly parted from Ilmari, but gave both of his shoulders a reassuring squeeze. Maybe she was concerned about you. I could be wrong, but maybe she thought you weren't ready because you would get too emotionally invested or attached? I wouldn't. He immediately quieted down, but then reflected on the comment. Maybe?
Well...
I admit I tend to rely more on my feelings, despite trying to be more sensible. I also get distracted a lot, and I'm too nosy for my own good. And if I'm trying to help build a relationship between Dragonkind and Heavenkind, I need to be more rational. I don't know how Kea treats everything so objectively. Objectively or with indifference? We chuckled. So what happens now? Will you be ordered back, or will you be allowed to stay? He sighed despondently and pressed his pointer fingers together as he mulled over the question. I'm allowed to stay until Kea returns. However, when I get back, punishment will be severe. I didn't think it'd be that bad, but...
What?
Huh? What?
No.
Why will they punish you? I'm a knowledge keeper in training. I don't even specialize in anything yet. I just have the basics. However, a future knowledge keeper running away is, well, think of it as someone being responsible for all of the books vanishing from the library, and it's the single source of knowledge people have access to in the city.
Yeah.
A lot of things would be gone. Important things. Culture, art, literature. A knowledge keeper's responsibility is to form other Dragonkind, therefore they stay enlightened and pass knowledge onto their kin, and to make sure detrimental knowledge is only imparted wisely, since it could be used against others. My actions could be viewed as treachery. He forced a small smile to comfort me, but I could tell he was extremely nervous about the consequences. Don't worry about it, Aurelie. This was my decision. I have no regrets. All right, but if there's anything I can do to help, please let me know. I'm sorry you felt like you couldn't tell us. I don't want you to be burdened with all this on your own. He nodded gratefully.
Thank you.
Thank you. Besides, I should start acting more rational. I've let my emotions get the better of me regarding certain... It's nothing. Well, it's something, but I need to talk to Kea first. Don't worry, I won't press you about it. I trust you. I flashed him a genuine smile, and his cheeks flushed modestly. I'm sure Kea trusts you too, even if he doesn't like admitting anything. It was then we heard a loud sneeze, followed by Kea's gruff voice. Oh, what are the two of you still doing here? Kea, I thought you were going to get apple tarts. I did that, and I'm still hungry. I hope I'm not coming down with something. He rubbed his nose and urged us to follow him outside. Ilmari and I exchanged amused glances, and I gave him a pat on the back. Good luck with the talk.
Thank you.
We'll see how it works out. I'll doubt he'd try to chase you away at this point. You two seem to get along. Mostly. Once we were in the open air, I fished out some more coins and thrust them into Ilmari's hand. Here, you know what to do. I gave him a sportive shove to urge him onward, then waved to Kea. I have some errands to do. You two have fun without me for now. Kea shot me an inquisitive look, but said nothing. It wasn't too unusual for me to run off to the guild headquarters or squeeze in some solo sword training. Come to think of it, all I had to do was announce I was doing night training and they would respectfully leave me alone. Quickly. I might as well do that anyway. I mentally wished Ilmari good luck and left on a different path from the boys. My shoulders hurt. My back hurts. Everything hurts. I flopped down onto the bed of my assigned room. I groaned and rolled over, staring vacantly at the ceiling. I'd spent the rest of the afternoon training with some real knights, and now my thoughts drifted to Kea and Ilmari. I wonder how their conversation went. I glanced out the window, which provided a nice view of the gardens and the dark blue sky. Should I check up on them? Grabbing my blanket and using it as a shawl, I exited the lodge and took a stroll in the garden. They would usually be here? Sometimes Kier slept in the trees, while Ilmari nestled by a trunk. After some more searching, I was about to give up when I spotted a leg by one of the trees. Remaining quiet, I tiptoed over and saw Kier sleeping peacefully against the bark. Beside him was Ilmari, his head leaning against Kier's shoulder. A smile appeared on my lips. Oh, I guess it worked out. It was then I noticed how cold the air felt against my cheeks. Many of the trees were half bare, and leaves were piling up on the grass. A subtle crisp freshness lingered with each breath. It was definitely autumn.
Oh no.
Are they getting cold? I did not want to disturb them, but decided to leave my blanket. As I knelt down, I carefully spread it out and was about to drape it over their bodies. However, Kier steered. As he sat up, Ilmari slipped off his shoulder and fell back onto the trunk.
Oh, sorry about that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to wake you two. Ilmari groaned, then rubbed one eye, giving Kier a pouting glance.
Oh.
What was that for? He trailed off when he spotted me. Kier clicked his tongue in embarrassment. What are you doing here? I want to see if you two were alright or if you were getting cold. Ilmari lowered his eyelids in disappointment. That's all? Huh? For a second, I thought you were going to join us. I dropped the blanket hastily and jumped back, waving my hands frantically in front of me. No. I was just checking up on you. Heaven kind don't, engage in snuggling with friends. But he fiddled with a strand of his hair forlornly. We've been with you for quite some time now, and the fact we've never bonded feels like we're distant. My eyes started between them hesitantly. Does it really feel like that? Kier glanced down, saying nothing, while Ilmari gave me a pleading look. After some vacillation, I sighed and grabbed the blanket before taking a step toward them.
Yeah.
Fine, okay. But only for a little while. I turned around right as Ilmari shuffled out of the way to give me some room. I sat down. I don't plan to stay here all night. I turned off as Ilmari leaned back against a tree, close enough that his arm gently grazed mine. My shoulder reclined against Kier, who had one leg sprawled straight and another tucked in. I allowed myself to completely relax. So, I guess Ilmari talked to you earlier, Kier? Yeah, for a little one, he sure carried a lot of resentment toward me. There was a small groan of protest from Ilmari's lips. I'm older than you. It was obvious he could hear our talk, but was too tired to carry on a conversation with us. I chuckled. It's not like he was the only one hiding something. Really now? What would you reluctantly like to admit to me this time? He hastily averted his eyes and grumbled.
Shut up!
Shut up! I stuck out my tongue to show I was just joshing him.
Whoops,
Sorry, so what is it? He closed his eyes and grit his teeth. I could hear him inhale deeply.
Look,
I could have returned earlier if I wanted to. The curse was offered to be lifted a while ago. Wait, you can turn back to an earth dragon anytime? Yeah. Although I need to visit an altar first, since my master still has to remove the curse. But if I do, I won't be able to revert to Heavenkind form without Master Bedrose's help. Unlike Ilmari, I didn't bother learning the transformation spell. And of course, he probably won't transform me a second time. Not after I refuse to return right away.
Oh no.
So, wait, both of you are in huge trouble now? Suppressed a chuckle. Something like that. Then why aren't you going back? There's no reason for you to stay here anymore. Ora. He gazed down at me with resolve. I'm not returning until Ilmari is satisfied learning about Heavenkind culture and until you become a knight. I want to see it. You as a real knight. My heart leapt up in my chest. I could feel my lower lip quiver. Aw, you really care about that? About my dream? It's important to you, right? Care. I leaned over and embraced him, genuinely touched. I could sense his arms hovering awkwardly around me. What is this parasitic gesture? What are you doing? It's called a hug. Heavenkind used it to express affection between friends. And right now, I'm really, really happy. I'm probably gonna cry. Please don't cry. I never know how to act when that happens. And what does one do in reply to this hug? Hug back. I could feel his arms wavering before they enveloped my upper back. We remained in this position for a few minutes. He gently nudged my forehead with his before withdrawing his arms and pulling away in embarrassment. I adjusted the blanket to make sure Ilmari was comfortable. You guys, I don't want you two getting into more trouble because of me.
Leave it to me.
It's our decision. It's not like we'll get reprimanded further. We will remain with you until you return to Barry at least.
Thanks.
Thank you. It felt strange. Just the notion of them leaving seemed far off, and I realized I had never really thought of it until now. I closed my eyelids and nestled against Kair's arm, while one hand rested on Ilmari's shoulder. These two. Both are wonderful friends. Aww. Aww. I let out a small chuckle as my eyes drifted between their sleeping faces. How did those two become so close to my heart in such a short time? I let out a happy sigh, extremely thankful that I had met both of them. I guess I can remain here for a few more minutes. Yeah, right. You're just gonna stay there till morning. I know how this goes. I know how this goes. The last quest, chapter 8, is what we're going to cover next time. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. I will see you then. Until then, take care and goodbye.